everybody. Hopefully you were able to understand a little bit about factor by grouping from today's class. Now, in case you missed it or in case you were a little confused, here's another video about it. And these are the first two from your assignment. So make sure you're following along in your notebook so that you can get the first and second ones done in your assignment. So we are going to use grouping to factor. But before we do that, you always want to ask yourself, is there a 1 in front of here? If there's no number in front of here, there's a 1 in front. And if there's a 1 in front, it means you don't even have to do grouping. It's an easy problem that I don't want you to do grouping on. I want you to use the X that we talked about this morning. So you're going to multiply 1 times negative 22 and get negative 22 on top. This number B always goes on the bottom. So how did I get that? Again, this is A, B, and C. A times C goes on top. 1 times negative 22. B goes on the bottom, negative 9. Now you want to come up with two numbers that multiply to make negative 22 and add to make negative 9. Okay, so let's try to come up with some numbers. Well, 22 is 22 times 1 and 2 times 11. Those are the only things that I come up with off the top of my head. And 2 times 11, I feel like will work. And now I got to make one negative, because how can I multiply to make a negative unless one of these is negative? Which one should I make a negative? This number is negative, therefore the bigger number must be negative. Let's check. Negative 11 times 2 is negative 22. Negative 11 plus 2 is negative 9. Okay, I don't want you to do factor by grouping. I want you to go straight to the parentheses and put an X and put an X. Put a plus 2 and a minus 11 and you're done. This is the entire answer. How come I didn't have to do grouping? Because A is 1. When A equals 1, it's simple and easy. Okay, and we talked about that in class. Now the second example I'm going to do is by grouping. So we are going to do factor by grouping. How do I know I have to do factor by grouping? Well, look at this number. It's a 5. It's not a 1. So I have to do factor by grouping. And we're going to do this one together. You're still going to do the X in the same way. This value is A, this value is B, this value is C. I wish they would always use X's right here, and if it bothers you, you can change this to an X. I kind of hate when they switch the variables, so I'm always going to use an X here. So I'm changing this to 5x squared negative 8b. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite it here. 5x squared minus 8x plus 3. Okay, so you can see I just changed the variables because I don't like when they use random variables. But it's the exact same problem, I just switched it. Okay, so let's take A times C always goes on top. A times C. 5 times positive 3 is positive 15. B always goes on the bottom. B is negative 8. Now I'm still trying to multiply to get to the top number, but add to get to the bottom number. Okay, let's think of some numbers. Well, 15, I can only think of 15 times 1 or 5 and 3. And it looks like 5 plus 3 should make this. Now I got to think about that for a second, that this is negative, so this doesn't work. But what if both of them are negative? Negative 5 times negative 3 multiplies to make a positive and adds to make a negative. We have figured it out. Now, are you allowed to go straight to the parentheses? No, because A is not equal to 1. When A is not equal to 1, we have to do grouping. Now, how do we do grouping? Well, we've talked a lot about it, but you drop this first thing entirely down. 5x squared. Drop the last one down, leaving a bunch of space in the middle. Now, this middle part gets split up into negative 5 and negative 3x. Doesn't matter which order these are in. No, you should still get the same answer no matter which order these are in. Okay, so now that I have these, 5x squared minus 5x minus 3x plus 3, I'm going to form two groups. That's why it's called factor by grouping. I'm going to put a group around the first and a group around the second. Okay, so now let's take out a 5 from both of these and an x from both of these. That's the greatest common factor. So I take out a 5 from both of these. Let's see what's left. Okay, Well, 5 divided by 5 is 1, and I took out an x, so just 1x. Negative 5 divided by 5 is negative 1. And x goes away. All right, let's look at the second group. What am I going to take out of the second group? Always, 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 whatever sign is here, take it out, negative. Okay, and then what else can I take out of both of these? This has an x, but this doesn't, so I can't take out an x. But look, both of them, a 3 divides evenly into both of them. Okay, so now negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1x. 3 divided by negative 3 is negative 1. And right now, I know I am correct. How do we know we are correct? Because these two match. And the fact that both of those match means we got the answer correct. So where's our answer? One of the matching, oops, it's a highlighter still. One of the matching x minus 1, and the other stuff left in the front, 5x minus 3. And now we have our answer factor by grouping. Okay, so that's the answer that I would now highlight. Okay, you can shut this down and go ahead and continue with the rest of the problems. Bye, guys.